All right. Welcome back to the Destination Unknown Dude channel. I want to talk about teeth. Teeth in the Philippines. Teeth in the Philippines is a challenge. Teeth are a challenge in the Philippines. And you're going to run into this no matter what age your Filipina is and what you're up to. It seems like teeth are a low priority here, and that's based on the economics of the location. When you're struggling to survive day to day as a Philippine citizen, then you're not gonna spend money on things that you feel are optional or expensive or a burden on your family, such as having teeth issues. And I've run into this personally with my Filipina, and a buddy of mine is going through this with his, and pretty much every foreign guy I know or talk to has a Filipina with busted teeth. And it's nothing against them. It has nothing to do with the Filipina, because she's just dealing with the cards that she's been dealt. They grew up in a society that was different than what you may have had in America, and as a result, their priorities were different growing up, and their mouth is different as a result of that. And you see a lot of kids, even little kids, babies, with their baby teeth black or removed. And some of that is also a result of poor nutrition as it pertains to artificial baby formula and how they were brought up. The baby formula that's the most affordable, which is obviously the highest seller, is the one loaded with the most sugar. And so these kids are raised on baby formula with a ton of sugar. That's what the kids want to eat. They have no problem eating that. They want to eat it. And then they're getting too much sugar, and then they're not satisfied with water. They got to have juice, and then they get the juice attacks their teeth, and even the baby teeth fall out. That's just the way it is. And so their teeth don't do as well, and a lot of them are on well water or city water without fluoride, and so they don't get that additional support. Their teeth don't get that additional support. Not that I'm a big believer in fluoride. I don't have an opinion one way or another. Some people want to get on the bandwagon that fluoride is the end of the world. I don't care about that. I don't have an opinion. All I know is that fluoride does work. It does protect your teeth. So they're also using generic or the cheapest possible toothpaste that may or may not have enough fluoride in it. So there's another factor. And they're probably not using mouthwash at all. So they're not getting additional fluoride from doing a mouthwash rinse on their teeth ever. And they're probably brushing their teeth and then rinsing their mouth out immediately. So if there was some fluoride in that toothpaste, it gets rinsed out. It doesn't get to sit on the teeth. So there's many factors here, is what I'm saying. And the teeth here are bad. They're not good. A buddy of mine is a 50-year-old guy, and he married an 18-year-old girl, and that's beside the point. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's not my cup of tea. But he just had her go to the dentist for the first time in a while. She already had dentures when he met her, and she was already self-conscious, doesn't really open her mouth at all. Super shy, doesn't show her teeth when smiling. She has a complex about her teeth already when he met her. She goes to the dentist and they yank 11 teeth. This is a 19-year-old. And how did this happen, or why did this happen? I don't have all the information, but he seems to be disconnected from the subject. He seems to have told her, just go get whatever done that needs to be done, and I'm out. See you later. And you can't do that here, because go get done what needs to get done means I'm going to take the cheapest option. I'm going to remove the problem. It's going to go away, and I'm going to have a bigger denture than I had before. And that's exactly what happened. She went to the dentist, and instead of filling the teeth or root canaling or doing whatever to save that structure in her mouth, he took a nonchalant approach, and she walked out of the dentist missing 11 of her teeth. And she doesn't have that many. She didn't have all of them to start with. She had a denture. So that's the problem. You have to be involved. What I'm saying is, what the whole point of this discussion is, you got to be involved. They don't understand what can be done with the teeth. They also don't understand your financial capability and what you're willing to deal with. Like if she was presented with a root canal or a filling at the dentist instead of pulling the teeth, this particular situation, his wife is cheap. So she might have thought that he would not be okay with doing a filling on the teeth, repairing the tooth, or doing a root canal, or doing whatever the proper solution would be. She chose the cheapest solution because she's trying to impress her husband that she's not trying to be a gold digger, and she's trying to do the right thing and be a good person, and not trying to drag him down and eat up all his budget trying to fix her teeth. When the fact of the matter is he should want her to have that confidence, to have that nice smile, to not be feeling insecure about her teeth, and doing what is normally normal for any wife or relationship, and that's to get the nicest teeth that you can get and the most permanent teeth that you can get, and be happy with it. So I've said before, my wife had she had a cavity in one of her two front teeth, and the dentist said, yeah, we can put we'll pull the cavity tooth instead of fixing it, because that was what their budget allowed. And then he said, well, I can't match the color if I put a denture in there, so I need to pull the second one too. So he pulled one tooth because it had a cavity, and the other tooth just because it was next to the tooth that had the cavity. A perfectly good tooth yanked. And that was the accepted means of going about getting dental work here in the Philippines. And that is why you got to be involved. You got to be the one that knows better than to say, we're not yanking any teeth unless it's no longer viable, unless it's loose in the socket. We're not yanking any teeth. We're fixing everything. Because once you yank that tooth, hey, put a lid on it. Put a lid on it. Hey, put a lid on it. Once you yank that tooth, you got problems. You leave that tooth in place and you root canal it, or you fill it, or you do whatever else you can do, you got options. But once you yank it, it's game over. You're done. Now your only option is a bridge if you've got the capability of two good teeth next to it, or an implant, which is the best option, but it's the most expensive option, and the most pain and labor inducing. So this is not a good situation. You got to be involved. You cannot just say, hey baby, just go down to the dentist and take care of this shit. No, you got to be in there, and you got to be in there when the decisions are being made. Hey dentist, what's the chances of us fixing this? And if the dentist says, hey, there's no chance, get a second opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. This is medical. Get a second opinion. Say, hey, all right, well, let's go to the other dentist and see what they say, and get that done. And fight for the tooth. If the tooth is loose in the socket, there's not a lot they can do. Okay, it's too far gone. The gums have gone away and all that. But look, I'm not a dentist. Okay, so talk to a professional and see what your options are. Rumble, rumble. See what your options are before you just go yanking. And if it's too late and those teeth are yanked, then just get ready for some implants, and not the cheapest implants that you can get. Go do your research and go where you need to go to get the proper care, okay? And if that's Turkey, or if that's somewhere that does it all day, every day, does implants, go there. Because you're introducing a foreign body into a human, and that's not always free and clear of problems, infections, and other things. You want to go somewhere that does it all day, every day. And I'm not saying Turkey is the be-all, end-all, but I had great results there. My Filipina had her 2 front teeth yanked when she was 12 years old. And she had a bridge put in, or whatever was put in. I don't think she had a denture. She had a bridge put in. And her teeth were busted. The rest of her teeth were busted, okay? And she had problems. Well, we went to Turkey. She did the research. I was going to do it in Qatar because that's where we were at the time. And I was like, look, I don't want to go to Turkey. I don't want you to be that far away. If there's a problem, then you got to fly over there and they got to address the problem and yada yada. It might be better if we just get it looked at and done in Qatar. So she goes to a dentist in Qatar, and they want an arm and a leg. And she talks to Turkey, and she had lots of options, and so she decided on Turkey, and it ended up costing us like $6,500, $6,000, between $6,000 and $7,000. I don't remember exactly. It was around about that price. And it's a bundle deal. They include the airfare and hotel and the work, all in the bundle deal. And that's what they do in Turkey. They do that for hair transplants. They do that for teeth. They do all kinds of stuff. They see a lot of stuff, and so that's what you want. You want the guys that do implants and do hardcore dental work all day, every day. She was in and out. They did 10 implants on her in an hour and a half, and they're using the quality components too. So you got to research that. You got to get the quality components. They're putting in bone grafts and stuff. They're using the best products on the market. Okay, so in an hour and a half, they had done 10 implants, and one of the implants went to her 2 front teeth. The bone, when you yank a tooth, the bone deteriorates, and so she's 40 years old, and she hasn't had 2 front teeth since she's 12, and the bone was there enough for them to put an implant in. So that just goes to show they know what they're doing. They're able to take a situation, a really bad situation, and make something out of it, and they did that. And we had no complications. And we had to work with them for a good little bit, stay an extra couple days at our expense for them to get the teeth right, as far as fitting right, and the implants. And she basically got a whole new mouth. Every tooth was pulled, implanted, bridged, porcelain, or whatever. Every single tooth was addressed. There wasn't a tooth or a missing area in her mouth that wasn't addressed. And we got basically a brand new $50,000 Hollywood smile for $6,000-$7,000. Okay, and we got it done by people that do it all day, every day. Like I said, hour and a half for 10 implants. Shit, good luck with that. You're not getting that anywhere else. That kind of quality. And look, along with that, you're gonna get they're busy, they're doing a big volume, and they're not going to pay attention to the details of get the colors all matching right, or getting the teeth fitting 100%. So she wasn't happy with the end result initially. She was pretty frustrated with them. Like, they just didn't want to take the time to get it right. But if you push them, they'll do it. And she pushed them. Good on her. She didn't just walk out with the first thing. Just like when you take your car to the body shop, they're going to paint it like crap at first, and you're going to have to send it back, and they're going to have to do it again. They're going to get away with what they can get away with. And that's fine. That's just the way it is. But this is the situation that you're going to be in, undoubtedly. I haven't seen a Filipina yet that didn't have teeth problems. So just set your mind up for that. I wasn't even married to my girl, and she got new teeth. She got a whole new mouth, Hollywood smile. That's what we call it. So I did that to my girlfriend. And I was good with that. And she told me that that was her number one problem with her self-confidence. And now she doesn't have that problem anymore. And she's got a permanent solution. She doesn't have some bullshit denture, you know? And I feel good about that. You keep your mouth shut. We still got a little pecking order operation happening with these big ones. And I'm okay with that, you know? Like, hey, there's nothing wrong with making your mark. You're not a being taken advantage of if it's someone that you love and someone that you want to feel confident and feel better about themselves, and you have a stable relationship, and you know you're leaving a legacy, you're leaving a mark. Even if we were to break up before we became married, which we're now married, even if we were to break up, I would feel good that I did something for somebody. And there's nothing wrong with doing something for somebody. You're not getting scammed if it's your idea. You're not getting scammed if you're doing something good for somebody. It's just the way it is. You know, you're doing something good for somebody. That's just as simple as that. So keep that in mind. Be involved when it comes to doing something permanent to somebody. Be involved. You'd be involved if it was a boob job. You'd be involved. You'd be, wanting to see what was what. So why is it different with the dentist? Be involved. It's a permanent modification, and you're gonna have to deal with the fallout. You're gonna have to deal with seeing her with no teeth. You're gonna have to deal with bone loss and her face changing as she ages because she has no bone in her jaw because she chose to get them yanked, and now she's got dentures, and now her face is gonna be different. That bone goes away, it's hard to come back. That's why it's a bone graft implant, because they got to bring that bone back and hope that it takes. In our case, my girl, she got 10 implants and they all took, which is pretty good. In the US, they don't do that. They don't get them all to take, and they're only doing one at a time. They did all 10 at once. So that's it. That's what we're talking about here. And I'll have an interview with her, and she'll talk about the ins and outs and show the results and all that, because it's going to apply to you. You're not going to find one that doesn't have problems that are going to have to get worked out, and do it right. You want to see her walking around with no teeth when she doesn't have her denture in? No, you don't. So do it right. Don't mess around. Put the implant. If the teeth is already gone, put an implant in. If the teeth is she going to the dentist because she's got a cavity? Be present. Make sure it gets filled. Make sure it gets addressed, and that tooth does not get yanked. All right, y'all. Be good. Be good at it. Talk to you later. Destination Dude Unknown out.